What's up, Space Cadets? My name is Mike, and this is a very special episode of Let's Play Stellaris, a 4X space strategy game that easily earns Paradox a participation ribbon at least. So we're going to go ahead and start a new game using the 1.1 Clark update with my custom Mother Rachna insect species in our attempt to conquer the universe. So let's take a quick look at all of our traits before we get started. So first of all, of course, we are an insect species evolving on the tropical world of Zaplo, thanks to Paradox's random name generator. It's one of the very few planet names that isn't a string of gibberish, so I'm very happy for that. Using our flag, our standard that looks like some sort of insect eye, or perhaps a diagram of their hive colony that would be buried deep within the surface of Zaplo. Our empire is a despotic empire, which is going to give us all sorts of benefits to building cost and slaves, because I anticipate in our conquest of the galaxy, as we run over and overrun all of the lesser species, you know, all these dirty mammalians and reptilian and avian species, we're going to have a good old time enslaving most of them. We are fanatic xenophobes, looking down at our insect-like whatever noses. I don't know if insects do. Insects have noses? I don't know. Looking down at whatever we have as the equivalent of noses at the rest of the galaxy. We are militarist, which I think is kind of a shitty trait, to be perfectly honest, because army damage, planet invasion's not so important in a lot of playthroughs. I mean, I've only played once or twice so far, so this is actually my first playthrough of the 1.1 patch, so any new changes and updates and balances will be hopefully a very pleasant surprise. But I do like the idea with militarist. Apparently you can do full bombardment of planets. So if there's any planet that we want to, for example, just purge with fire, we can do so without actually having to conquer it. So cool idea, much love. Okay, so we are sedentary, of course, because insects aren't going to want to normally naturally stray too far from their mother hive brain. We are repugnant. Now it says -1% for other species happiness. I think this actually means -1% per population. So the bigger that we grow and the more populous that we become, the more we become hated. Which kind of makes sense, because if you think about it, if you find a spider in your house, like one spider in your house, not so bad to hit it with a shoe. If your entire house is filled top to bottom with spiders, that's when you're going to want to just burn that shit down and walk away. So we're cool with that. Industrious. Now I know industrious is kind of like the go-to min-max choice, because minerals are very valuable and very powerful, and plus 15% minerals is just too good to give up. But to be perfectly fair, the icon is of a little bee, and bees are insects and we are insects, so we're going to go with that anyway. And I have a full feeling that the benefit from minerals is probably going to be outweighed by my complete incompetence, so not so bad. And then we're also going to be conformists. I haven't had a chance to play around the new ethics divergence mechanics. To be fair, I haven't really had a chance to play around with the old ones either, but I figure that insects would be less likely to diverge ethically if insects even have ethics, so it kind of fits our hive mind mentality. Plus the icon is a little bird, which I suspect might be a dodo bird, which could be foreshadowing to our ultimate fate, but we will see what happens. All right, so we have lasers. I like the idea of insects using lasers. If any of you guys ever read Heinlein's Starship Troopers book, it was mentioned that the pseudo-arachnids in the series, or rather in the novel, would use lasers to like zap the Terran troops. So we're gonna go with that and kind of make it an homage to Mr. Heinlein himself. We're going to use wormhole travel, something I've never done before, but it seems a lot faster than the shitty-ass warp drive, so I figured nothing could be worse than that. And we are obviously going to use the ships that line up to our species for Mother Rachna. So let's get started. We're going to use all default settings. I don't want to get my ass kicked too badly. So all default, and we'll get started. All right, in the eons since since the first primitive Rachna communities took shape in the dense jungles of Zaplo, our civilization has spread and prospered. The early chaotic periods of our history saw many nation-states vying with each other for power until we were at last united under Poto. So Poto is our empress, who is charismatic and rather expansionist and charismatic. So we'll see what that means in a second. And we are ready to get going to explore and hopefully conquer the galaxy, as it were. So we're close to the edge, which is nice. It's better than being on the inside, because we do have somewhat of a natural border going out to endless space here, so we're not in any danger of being invaded from this side. So hopefully that means that we can expand to the outer rim to give us a natural border on this side, and then we can use that to defend the front. So we're not going to be surrounded, hopefully. Okay, let's see. Who are we starting off with? Let's get started with Rigu, who is our science ship. So Rigu, first order of business is to take a look at our galaxy here. So we've got a gas giant, a multi-moon gas giant over here. We might as well start with that because the moons typically have a lot of minerals. Our navy, first order of business. So the dotted yellow brick road here is our wormhole jump range. So we're just going to kind of hold down shift with our navy and bounce around in a sort of clockwise manner to explore everything that we can explore. So that one has the double X's. We can't get to that one. It's a little bit out of our range, but everything else we can get to, and we will see if there is anything worth getting here, including the one system that is in our space. Is this one in our space? No, it is not. So this one is in our space. So hopefully at least there's something in here for colonization. So all we're really looking for are resource-rich systems and hopefully colonizable planets. So we've done that, and then let's take a look at our research. So we've got Vika, who is a leader experience gain, 15%. Not great, but at least they will level up faster. He'll level up faster and hopefully get some of those beautiful traits. So let's see, what do we want to get on him on right away? So I like both solar panel network and research speed. They both pay off long term. Solar panel network is nice because it means that the space stations essentially pay for themselves. I believe they take 3 energy and this generates 3 energy. So that means it's kind of a net neutral, but I don't think we need that just yet, considering we only have 1 spaceport. So we'll just do the research speed first because that will pay off absolutely long term. So might as well get the maximum amount of benefit out of that. Imdo is a research speed flat 10%, so very powerful because he's going to get research to everything, a bonus to everything. And of course, we're automatically going to choose the New Worlds protocol so we can build our seed ships to colonize anything around us that we can. And these other ones are not useful yet. And then Ukma is a leader lifespan 25 years. Not great, however, with a 25-year lifespan, at the very least, it gives him an opportunity to gain even more research than he normally would, or rather even more experience points than he normally would. So if he gains some good traits through his research and through his leveling up, it might pay off. So we'll just see, what do we want? So we can immediately go for the Corvette assembly yards with spaceport level 2, or we can do ion thrusters, which will make our ships better. These electric thrusters use beams of ions to generate thrust without the need for propellant. So sublight speed and chance to evade. Chance to evade, I think, is very powerful. The only thing that you can't evade generally is missiles, and that's what you need like shields and your hull for. So I think that's probably a good first choice to go with. Let's take a look at our Empress. So Empress Poto of the Rachna. She is going to have a negative 15% Frontier build cost. I haven't really played around with Frontier outposts very much. I do know they're very expensive, but if there is a planet that's slightly out of your range, that's rich with resources, it may pay for itself. So a negative 15% might actually be really good. And then Charismatic, I guess as charismatic as a insect can possibly be. I don't know, maybe her pheromones are particularly delicious to the other people of our species. Her edict cost is going to be negative 20%, edict duration plus 25%. That can come in handy in certain circumstances, especially if you have an underperforming or rebellious planet. You can enact certain edicts to calm them down temporarily. So I don't know if we'll run into that right away, but I guess we'll keep that one in the bank. So not the strongest start for an Empress, but hopefully once we unpause, we'll get a strong heir who will take over and hopefully give us some sort of military advantage. Policies, first thing I'm going to do is grant society research grants. So actually, pardon me, edict cost is negative 20%. These are edicts. Pardon me, I was thinking of the planet-wide ones. These are also edicts. Okay, that's perfect. So that actually gives us, this is a bigger benefit than I thought then, because what I'd like to do is probably put on society research grants, which will speed up this, which is the most important research we can do early game. So we're going to get a 30% boon to this at the cost of 10% penalties to these two, but that's fine because the colony ships are more important than either of these two. And actually, let's just take a look at our science person. So Rigu has an anomaly risk fail of negative 10%, so we will keep her on exploration duty. That makes the most sense because you can swap the science people around to best use their strengths, but I don't think we will do that. Other than that, Society Research Grant, that'll be good. And we are looking for tropical, desert, continental. Well, right now all we can colonize is tropical. So in our quest with our ships, we are going to be looking specifically for tropical planets, hopefully to colonize early. So with any luck, let's get started. We're going to go on fast speed and see what we can find out in the wide, wide galaxy. So our Governor Uvko, standard stuff. Some of this is our... Crown Princess Juta is a new heir to our empire and will take the throne when our current ruler dies. So let's check her out real quick. Corvette build costs negative 20% and energy credits plus 10%. This leader is a shrewd economist capable of maximizing financial potential. This is a great combination. So not only are we going to be able to save on minerals when we build Corvettes, we're also going to be able to save on, or rather boost our energy, which will help offset some of the energy losses we're going to take as we colonize and build ships. So perfect combination as a successor to Poto, because by the time Poto's dead and Juta takes over, we'll probably be in the full swing of galaxy conquest. At least that's my hope. So very nice. Oh, so already we've encountered Alpha Menaces. We've encountered some form of alien vessels in the Avlor system. Where is the Avlor system? Go. Okay, interesting. It is interesting. Zaplo is in an uproar following the news of unidentified ships sighted in the void. Their intentions unknown, it would be prudent to assume the worst. I would assume the same. So what are we dealing with here? They look like... Oh, they already disappeared. They look like some sort of flying squid monsters. I don't know which species are going to be hostile and which are not. So I hope these guys are just going to be friendly neighbors that are going to leave us alone, especially in the early game here. There is plenty of time to commit galaxy-wide genocide in the future. No need to rush things. So this is our wormhole station, zipping our fleets back and forth as they explore. So far, the moons of Suit Rupold turned up nothing, but the gas giant itself has 3 energy. So that might be worth developing. Oh, here's our guys again. They showed up. Alien Menace. This alien vessel has unknown capabilities. Let's take a look. The Plony system has been fully surveyed and turned up jack shit. So that is a very weak start with only 3 energy in the entire system. Very weak. So we have to really get on exploring and colonizing very quickly. We've already encountered beta menaces. Where are these guys? Are we already leaving? Where are they? Another kind of space squid looking thing. It looks like a space dildo and complete with, well, bulbous little protrusions on the backside of it. So a very suggestive space dildo of some sort. Okay, so let's survey over here right away. And then what I think I'm going to do is let's investigate these guys right away and just see what we're dealing with. So as you research these guys, it will take away from your society research. So in our case, that means that the colony ship research is being put on hold temporarily. So you're busy with special project, but it stores your society research. So what that means, I think, is what'll happen now is the research is going to pay back at twice the rate once we're done these projects. So we're not losing research, as far as I understand. We're just going to be delaying it, and then we'll catch up at double speed later on. And I think it is worth our while to figure out what the hell we're dealing with in the system. So we need to know... Oh, more. Wow, it's a very, very busy system. So what do we have here? Some sort of robots. Well, they're just chilling. Nothing's come to attack us yet. I think that's probably because we're too far away. So maybe we... Gamma Menace, maybe we research those at the same time, and we'll just knock all 3 of these out because we've got one dude flying around, one dude that was over here, and one dude that was over here. So we are potentially surrounded. Oh, and Rigu is already leveled up, busy commanding the Desiree, our science ship. So good job, Rigu. So leveling up, what is that going to get us? Where are you, Rigu? So research speed has gone up by slightly. I think it went from 2% to 4%. So I guess you get a 2% bonus for every star that you get. but you also get a chance to randomly roll some extra traits, which may be positive or negative depending on how lucky you are, I suppose. Oh, and another tropical world. So we actually have 2 tropical worlds in our immediate vicinity, which is very good. Okay, so this is one of our, this must be the alpha menaces. So the spaceborne life forms, that's a cool rhyme, some heavy beats per paradox, which the Rachna head of society research has come to refer to as the Tiyanki, are docile creatures capable of accessing some lower dimension of subspace. They roam from system to system with relative ease, though nearly the same ease as Rachna fleets. I think it's supposed to be though not nearly the same ease as Rachna fleets, perhaps. Anyway, we're not gonna rag on their English too much. So they graze on gas giants. So we found, I think these guys are pretty benign.
Special project complete.
Space amoebas. The entities encountered by our space fleet some time ago. Actually, we got started in 2200, so it's been a year and 4 months. I don't know when we actually researched that. I think it only takes 180 days, so that's 6 months. So some time ago now refers to 6 months ago. Quickly nicknamed the space amoebas, following an analyst's gross misreading of initial sensor reading. The creature is in fact larger than the average Rachna corvette. That is terrifying, thinking of some enormous biological creature bigger than our ships. So let's not tangle with them. Although our fleets probably could make short work of them. Let's just issue a special project and peacefully study them. It's only going to take 90 days. That's 3 months, a short 3 months to do that. So we've got a chance to look at all the planets in our immediate vicinity. So there's 2 colonizable planets, a couple of hostile creatures. Let's go home, because you do get a discount on the maintenance of your ship when it is docked. And then Rigu, why don't you go survey one of our nearby potentially habitable, holy shit, 24 and 13. 24 is massive. That is a massive, massive tropical planet. That's a nice update with the 1.1 showing the size of the planet right on here, and they've clarified the icons significantly, which is nice. So if it's half and half, it means it hasn't been surveyed yet, and the color indicates if it's colonizable or not. So right off the bat, out of the gate, tropical is our primary planet, so we are able to colonize right away, but it's half gray, showing that we haven't surveyed yet, so we can't actually colonize it right now. And of course, red is the opposite. It is an arid world, which may never be colonizable for us unless we enslave somebody to colonize it for us or build robots, which I haven't played around with at all. But in the meantime, the space amoeba name is stuck, as the proper xenotaxonomic denominator has become too unwieldy for the average Rachna. Yes, I suppose we rather stick with names like Swit Repoid or whatever other names there are here. And Space News is much easier because apparently Rachna speak English. We're okay with that. Fascinating. We get a plus 5% evasion. That is great. Oh, and we've also ancient mining drones. So that must have been what those robot dudes were. Reports of deep space drones in certain systems have been investigated. The drones appear to be the workers and custodians of an autonomous orbital mining operation. What do we want to do? Do we want to blow them up, or do we want to establish a listening post? Let's establish a listening post. I'm not going to waste precious laser blasts on... Oh, and what is this? What is this? More of these weird space squid things. At least they're not hostile. They're just chilling. They're just chilling. Tethanki cow. Well, I'm not interested in making space burgers yet, so we will just leave them alone. They seem to be passive for now, and I'm perfectly happy with that. So, construction ship, the Turrentol, still not doing anything. We could potentially develop the energy on Zaplonius's, or inside Zaplonius rather. I suppose we might as well, because we're still some ways away. How far away are we from developing colony ships? 2 years. Almost 2 years. Well, we've got plenty of time to regain the 90 minerals. The early game becomes a bit of a balancing act, trying to figure out, do you spend the minerals developing planets? Do you spend the minerals building ships? Or just saving them up to rapidly build colony ships? I think I'll go with a bit of a balance of both, depending on the resources that we find. So 3 energy, that'll pay off in the long run, and we'll get back those 90 minerals far before the colony ships are ready to be built. Alright, So far, there is 2 energy. Unfortunately, that 2 energy is actually on the planet we want to colonize, so that's not going to do us much good. However, let's take a look at the surface. So we're dealing with a massive planet here. Now, looking for spots for planetfall is a little tricky. So as I understand it, you want a perfect plus, a perfect T. Oh, hang on, we'll get back to that. Optical sensors to isolate a cluster of shapes in the barren surface of Aether Va that could be buildings. Well, with a 45% risk, I think we're going to leave Rigu alone for now. That seems to be the wisest choice. So we need a perfect plus. Thank you very much. Because you get adjacency bonuses as you upgrade the planet's capital. However, you also want minerals and food in there. So a perfect plus might be, for example, something like this, but then we have to research how to remove dense jungles, how to remove noxious swamps, and so on. So there's no easy gimme here right now. So what I'll probably end up doing is when we get there, probably do planetfall here, get the 1 food right away, with the intention of clearing these 3 spots as we go. Unluckily, it's 3 different types of terrain that we have to clear. So it's 3 different researches. So this is going to take a long time to clear up. But a 24 space, 24 size planet is no joke. So we will definitely get our money's worth out of that planet in the long run. All right, you're done with that one, Rigu. So why don't you go over to Brynnis and see what we have going on there. We found the anomaly. We're okay with that. We're done the survey. Okay with that. We now have over 350 minerals. A little bit over 2 years remaining. Why is this going up? It was less than that before. Plus 7.1. Base is 5. IMDO is giving us 12. That's giving us 30. Where's our negatives? I wonder if it's because our population is growing. I think there's a component where as your population grows, research becomes more expensive. So that might be it, because we are growing quite quickly here. We still have a surplus of food, 2 food. So as long as our planet, the more food you have, the faster your population grows. However, as long as you're continually growing anyway, I don't really care about necessarily filling up our planets as soon as possible. So we've got 1 more Rachna hatching here. We've got 2 empty spaces, so we might want to consider clearing off a space. So the next one that hatches won't be unemployed, because in this spacefaring insect species, there is no such thing as welfare. So it's going to cost us 37 minerals, 37 energy. Yeah, why don't we clear one of these right away, because this guy's almost hatched, and then we'll have a nice, lovely working spot for the next one to take over. And they can just mine. So we're clearing some sprawling slums, which looks surprisingly like, I don't know, New Delhi. The insect version of New Delhi, perhaps. All right, 5%. Perfect. Organizational circuitry, rerouting academic fervor. Whatever you say, buddy. Vika, you did a good job researching that. So what is next? So we can do a fusion reactor. This gives us the ability to upgrade our ships. We can add more components to our ships, which is good. Or we can try to reveal Betharian, which is a weird purple stone that's somehow incredibly powerful. Not going to complain.
Complete.
And get double power plants, or power plant 2 rather. Zappos finishes surface construction cube. Perfect, that was fast. Or we can try to get deflectors. That's a tough choice, because these are all very, very good. I think what we'll do is maybe go for deflectors. We'll get that early on and build some new ships and see where that leads us, because we are going to need a bunch of new ships. Massive storms are visible in the upper atmosphere of this gas giant. It might be worth the effort to study them in more detail. 12% risk? For what kind of reward? Where are you? You're on Brynnis, which is a very valuable system so far, actually. 3 and 3. No, you know what? Why don't you continue getting the planet? Oh, 332. Even better. Continue researching or surveying the planet, and then we'll deal with that after.
System survey complete.
And that was it. So do we research it? You know what? No, let's go keep leveling up. That'll stay there. That's not going to expire, as far as I know. So let's keep looking, exploring our galaxy, seeing what kind of resources we can pillage from the cosmos. And I typically like to get some of the very early... Going back to what I was saying before, I typically like to get some of the very early upgrades first, before building up too many ships, because it seems to take an ungodly amount of time to upgrade ships after the fact. So if you can get some of these really like easy peasy, like the ion thrusters and the deflectors and such early, most of the ships you build from then on will automatically have those. Speaking of automatically having those, I'm going to leave it on auto best for now. I'm sure some of you guys are going to be pulling your hair out and screaming at me internally and dying a little inside, leaving it on auto best. But the truth of the matter is, early game, you only have a very limited number of spots. Like there's virtually no choices to make yet, and therefore the computer is going to be picking probably the same things I would pick anyway. So we're just going to leave it as is. Once we get into later mid-game and we get to play with some of the bigger ships that have multiple components and you can sort of mix and match weapon types, we'll get a little bit more anal about it. But auto best is fine for now. And in my experience, auto best seems to actually do a fairly balanced job overall. So we will just roll with that. How are we doing? So 8 months remaining. Hurry up, buddy. Imdo, you're falling behind. We need these colony ships. We got over the 350 now, which is good. It takes 350, and it takes a shitload of energy, an absolutely huge amount of energy. I think it's like 8 to maintain the ship, and you continue paying the 8 even after you make planetfall and are colonizing. So it's a big hit to your bank account, which is not always fun. But we do have plenty of stored energy, so we'll be able to sustain that for quite some time. And with any luck, we'll find something. But I was going to say we're going to find something that we can get. Like a 5 energy would be fantastic. Well, it's 2 and 3, so we can spend minerals to colonize those or to build mining stations on those. However, it's outside of our red blob, so that's not going to do us any good. Ion thrusters. These electric thrusters use beams of ions. Yes, we already know that. Cool. Perfect. All right, so Ukma, leader lifespan. So you're not particularly good at anything. So what do we want? Defense platforms? Not yet. Nano composite armor? That is good, because that'll be our best defense against early weapons, I think.
System survey complete. Anomaly found.
Let's pause for a second. We are playing on fast, so we'll have to maybe do some frequent pauses as we get swarmed with pop-ups. So there are early signs of activity by an ancient precursor civilization on this inhospitable rock. 5% risk. Leave it be for now. We still need to survey the rest of our system, rest of our jump range, and then we'll come back and maybe grab some of those easy upgrades. And hopefully by then, Rigu, you'll have more experience points in order to deal with them even easier and faster. And that negative 10% is going to come in really handy. So why risk it? Why risk it? Back to you. Let's do the 5% powered exoskeletons. Mostly because I like the idea of these giant sentient space spiders suiting up in some sort of exoskeleton. That seems terrifying to me and theme appropriate, so we're going to go with that. Plus the 5% will stack on top of our industrious trait, which will give us a flat 20% bonus to minerals, which will pay off in the long term for sure. So far, it doesn't seem like there's any sentient species around us. That's good. We're not going to be hemmed in particularly hard. There is a gap in stars here, which is good, which means this is probably clear. I can't imagine anything out here would spawn on the very, very edge. So this space out here, if we can build a wormhole station and jump, we might be able to get lucky at some colony fleets to grab that space before anybody else. All right. So Rigu, you're going to jump over here. We're going to explore. Oh, this is cool. A pulsar. Pulsars are highly magnetized neutron stars that emit beams of electromagnetic radiation. Looks pretty badass. Too bad there's nothing colonizable in there, because that'd be a pretty awesome planet to own. And there we go, colony ships. All right, so let's pause and get organized. That's a good time to take a break, I think, before we start building the first colony ships and beginning to expand the Rachna Empire into the reaches of space. So thanks so much for joining me, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, much appreciated. And join me next time for another very special episode of Let's Play Stellaris.